Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talk with a Doc, a thought leadership series brought to you by HealthSnap, where we hear from the nation's leading healthcare experts on their perspective of technology's role in healthcare post COVID 19. My name is Samson Magid, and I'm the co founder and CEO of HealthSnap. Joining me today, we have Dave, Evendon, and Challis from Bayer Consumer Health. Dave, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you joining us. So, Dave, I thought we'd start off with just a quick introduction to yourself, your organization, and then maybe you can give a little background on your career path and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. So I'm head of R&D for Bayer Consumer Health, and we are a global consumer health company. More than 140 brands at the last count, and 14 of those are more than 100 million in sales. We're headquartered in Basel, Switzerland, which is where I'm currently located. And we work across lots of categories like allergy, cough, cold, pain, cardio, dermatology, digestive health, and supplements as well. And we're part of Bayer with pharmaceuticals and crop science, and Bayer is about 100,000 people with companies in 87 different countries. So that's us. And so I joined the company just over a year ago, and before Bayer, I did a couple of different things. I'm a real big believer in non-linear career paths, and most recently I was heading up innovation at RB, the health and hygiene company. And prior to that, I've spent time on the agency side, as well as in other FMCG health and hygiene companies. And I've gone from studying biology to audit to communications, sustainability, and my passion, which is innovation and product development.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and couldn't agree more about the nonlinear career path. I think getting diverse backgrounds and experiences and applying it to different industries is always a unique way to think differently and grow an industry.
Mm-hmm.
Your point, and I think it segues really nicely into what we've seen in the last almost 12 months now, but technology has obviously started to play a very instrumental and pivotal role in everyone's daily lives during COVID-19. I'm curious, how has Bayer's consumer health strategy around innovation changed over the last 12 months as a result of COVID-19?
Well, I think we can't talk about the last 12 months without talking about kind of our own interactions. And I think that was the first point in which technologies played a big role. So I think, team was our first concern and the first piece, impacted, and I think making sure that, as people were working remotely, making sure that their family situations, that you can juggle things as best you can, and making sure people's mental health was looked after as best we can. That was important. And so we started leveraging technology in a very different way to what was quite a face-to-face kind of way of working in previous years. So that was the first kind of quick impact of technology, which we've all still facing. And I think we're bored of it, but there's also a huge number of benefits still. I think when it comes to the business, one of the things where technology plays a really important role, and particularly in the last 12 months, is around product supply and really accurate, good forecasting to make sure, particularly in times when supply chains are disrupted, we have factory closures, lab closures and things like that, making sure we know which products are needed where, and making sure that that is very, very accurate and up to date, because things were changing so fast, kind of day by day, week by week, country by country, as they still are. And that was really, really important and, completely enabled by technology. There's another piece here around kind of consumer behavior that's shifted a lot, and I think making sure that as people shifted from going to the store to e-commerce, making sure that our operations were working brilliantly there was really important. And you link to that the rise in Dr. Google, and starting to see much more of an interest in prevention and the maintenance of good health. These are all things enabled by technology. And I think then all of these are flowing into our strategy, which continually evolves. And in particular, things like data-driven insights in real time. So you don't just do a snapshot piece of research and then you can sit on that and you can innovate against that for years. It's different now. That's one of the biggest changes, and it's obviously going to make our products better, but we need to harness technology to do it. And that's going to also impact our innovation pipeline. How people's needs are changing, including things like that push to prevention and wellness, going from that problem solution side of things. So there's changes across the board, basically.
Got it. That's a really good segue into the topic of virtual care. I think you mentioned it a little bit. I'd love to hear your perspective. We've seen a massive uptick in virtual care and how either consumers or patients or members are being met through virtual care. And we've seen it kind of normalize over the last couple of months. So I'm curious to hear your perspective. If you feel like virtual care, number one, is here to stay. And then number two, as a result of what we've seen in virtual care solutions, how Bayer's strategy is changing maybe in the future now as a result of the widespread adoption of virtual care.
Mm-hmm. I think it's absolutely here to stay. I think a lot of things are, like buying your groceries online. These things are all linked. Hopefully online schooling isn't still here to stay, but there a lot of things are, and for me, it's absolutely going to stay. And I think there's a huge opportunity there. I think, there's lots of impacts of that, and one of them is changes in shopper behavior. So going from in-store to shopping online, it means that activating and launching your new innovations, if you're a consumer health company, is very different. Right now people are spending less time in stores, if at all, less time when they're in there browsing, they're in, they're out, and that's really impacting things. When it comes to flipping to what people are doing instead, I think for me it's really broad, and this encompasses things like better education materials online, more symptoms checkers and things like that. We have a brand called Caniston, which is a women's intimate health brand, and helping people to understand the difference between different types of infections, between thrush and BV and things like that, is really important, that people get access to information in a way that they quite often would have gone to a pharmacy to ask someone, and that's either less safe or less possible for a lot of people. And so making sure that that kind of information is out there is really, really important. I know it's stretching the topic, but I think for me, this is all part of the same thing. And I think linked to that, things like basic things like chatbots, particularly for brands where you need help to choose what's the right healthcare product for you, they can be really, really useful. And we've been doing a lot more of that. We've also been engaging a lot more with the telehealth providers themselves, to partner with them on different self-care topics. And my pet topic, my favorite topic, is really around how, when people are managing their health via their smartphone, we're going to see more of a rise in digital therapeutics. A lot of that at the moment is prescription digital therapeutics, and there's been quite a large handful approved recently, and it's really exciting. But I also think that's really relevant for self-care as well, either as a standalone to manage your health or potentially alongside existing physical products. So I think the whole industry is expanding, kind of prompted by this shift.
Oh, absolutely. We definitely see it every day. And, in my discussions with people in the industry, I think it's across the board universal that we are in its infancy right now when it comes to virtual care, personalized solutions at scale, and really sustainability here as we look forward. As you sit in the chair you sit in terms of head of R&D, you're thinking about, well, how do we make this sustainable in the future? How do we actually create adoption and not just launch a product, but actually make it work for the right consumer at the right time? What are some of the biggest challenges from your perspective for the last year, but also in the future, more importantly, as you think about how do we make this the norm and not the exception when it comes to technology, innovation, and self-care solutions at Bayer?
It's a really good question. I think a big part of this for me is around making sure that solutions are accessible for everyone. I think in the past, there's been a lot of very expensive, exclusive solutions that are tech-driven, and they aren't accessible for everyone. And so there's a big challenge there. And there's also a huge opportunity, because with scale comes efficiency. So it should be absolutely possible, but that is one of these challenges, is making solutions accessible. Making mass products at an affordable price is something that big companies are good at, but it remains a challenge, particularly when you are adopting new and unproven technologies. You have to invest a lot in them, so it does take a lot up front, and you need to make sure that they can be affordable for as many people as possible. I think linked to this, people are reverting back to what they know and what they trust. And in the pandemic, trust is more important than ever. And people are, in some cases, less open to try new products, new brands, new solutions. And it means that our innovation has got to be, it's got to break through. It's got to be really compelling. It's got to be even more disruptive than it has been before, which is obviously a challenge as well. And I think, there's also a huge challenge. This is not new. This is, for everyone, is around creativity. I think there's a lot of products out there, a lot of brands, and as everything gets more and more cluttered, pinpointing the truly unmet needs of people and developing products for them, that remains a challenge. It's what we do, but it isn't easy. And communicating them and their benefits requires just as much creativity in my industry than it does, for beauty or FMCG or something like that. So all of these pieces involve technology, and they're big challenges. They're just slightly shifted at the moment.
Got it. No, absolutely. Trust is something when it comes to technology that is so important, and something that we deal with every day as well. When it comes to who's actually seeing the data, who's on the other end of that, who's getting access to it in long term, and it's always top of mind, I think, and something that's highly relevant more than ever. Maybe we can change gears a little bit. You have a deep background in personalized health in your career path. I'd love to hear what personalized healthcare means to you, and maybe you could share some examples of solutions that Bayer has developed and how it's solving an unmet need right now.
I think for me, there's a really big difference between like off-the-shelf products, customized products, and truly personalized health, regardless of which kind of piece of health that you're looking at. And it's really important that we know which of those we're actually working towards. And for me, this is all about getting a much better understanding about, if you take, personalized nutrition, what is your actual nutritional gap? What are the products that are right for you? How does that link with services? How does that all change over time? Each of these questions can be answered, but putting them all together and actually helping people to understand what it means and to follow it is tough. And I think understanding the impact of different changes you can make in your life, that's really important. It's not going to be a magic pill. It's going to be a combination of interventions, diet, exercise, lifestyle. They have, probably in most cases, an even bigger impact than any supplements you take. So it's all about putting all of these things together, rather than having, you've got your exercise over here, you've got your supplements over here, you've got your meal plans over here. Pulling all of these things together when it comes to things like personalized nutrition is really important. We recently made a majority investment in a company called Care of. It's a great company based in the US, and I think that's fantastic for me, because it's they're very successful. They've learned a lot about personalized nutrition and direct to consumer for healthcare, and that's also helping us as a company accelerate our learning. So it's a really good fit for us. And we're also working across all of our other categories on personalization, because it's relevant for everything. And whether that takes more of a communications, education, and engagement slant, or whether that is about kind of the physical products being different, there's a full spectrum there. But the topic is relevant to absolutely everything, because we're all different.
Absolutely. I think everyone wants a solution they feel like is for them, specifically for them. And I think the one size fits all approach is in the rearview mirror right now. So it's great to hear that. that's top of mind for the work you're doing. I'd be interested to hear now, if you could snap your finger, just more of a fun question. If you could snap your finger right now, what's something that you feel like is really needed right now, is a major gap that you're seeing, but you haven't encountered a solution yet, something that maybe you feel like, there could be a strategy change or a solution that you feel like needs to be worked on, but isn't being prioritized right now in the market at all?
I think I've got two. So the
Sure.
first is very much because one is really a repeat of the previous piece, right? It's talking about personalized nutrition. There are a lot of solutions out there, and they're great. They're getting better. There's all different types. But what I think we're missing is that whilst there's lots of expensive supplements out there, some of which have great evidence, it's not all of them are for the masses. It is really hard to navigate if you're trying to do this yourself. I'm a cocktailer of supplements, and I research the latest ones and the evidence behind them, and I'm trying to track along the way. It's tough, and I've spent years trying to learn about this, and so we need to make sure that there are solutions that are truly personalized, but also mass and for everyone, and that means affordable, and that doesn't exist yet, and that's why I think there's still a role for brands like One A Day in the US, for example. They're still really relevant for this conversation, and to help people have, to move to more personalized solutions kind of in the longer term. The second one is around the microbiome. I think we've only really just scratched the surface for this topic, and it's so much more for me than probiotics for wellness, which is how a lot of people see it. I think the role of your gut health on mental health, your immunity, your skin, your heart health, the list just goes on and on. And we've been working on this. We've got a program called Leaps, where we invest in companies that have the potential to be disruptive within health or agriculture. And late last year, we made an investment into a great company called Azitra, and that's focused on the battle between the different types of bacteria on and in your skin, kind of in the role of that in things like eczema, and these are some of the things which are really impacting people's lives. There aren't solutions out there. And if we can accelerate our understanding of the science, we're going to get there to much better products that are going to help a lot of people, and be the right solutions rather than a quick fix.
Yeah, I think the topic of gut health and microbiome, I agree. There's a lot of solutions out right now that are starting to come to the forefront, and a lot of education in that topic. That's an area that I personally am very passionate about as well. Somebody that I have a background in nutrition, and I love talking about holistic approaches to improving gut health and how supplementation plus lifestyle change can help support a healthy microbiome. And just it all starts with your gut, everything from sleep to mood to stress and overall health and longevity. So it's fascinating to hear that that's top of mind.
Yeah, and I think and it is for a lot of companies, but the science is moving, and it's moving fast, but the solutions aren't there yet. And I don't think the understanding is there yet. All of the different pathways that are impacted by your microbiome, and it's not just the microbiome, it's everything else linked to that. There's so many layers of complexity there. But I think we will get there, and there's some fantastic organizations doing some great research. So I've got high hopes.
Absolutely. We can save another episode for a full one on just the microbiome and bacteria alone. So yeah, interesting topic for sure. Well, I know we only have a couple minutes left, so I wanted to wrap up with your closing thoughts. If you could talk about anything in terms of the future of technology's role in healthcare or self-care as delivery. What do you feel like is something that is top of mind for you personally and for your organization as you look forward into the future of technology's role in healthcare?
Well, I think it's a really exciting time, and what we need is for technology and healthcare to converge and not to diverge. That's really important, and I see a lot of great signs there. There's a lot of great experiments, there's a lot of great new solutions out there. I think when it comes to technology, for me and the work that I do and within consumer health, it's got this huge role in, much better insights, discovering the right solutions, helping us to communicate and engage better with healthcare professionals and consumers. And then we talked a little bit, access, enabling access to education, to the experts, to data, to diagnostics, to the personalized solutions, to digital therapeutics. huge roles there, very, very relevant to, I guess my daily work, in R&D and consumer health. And we do need to bring lots of different partners together to make that work. That's really, really important. It's really clear that no one organization has all of the right skill set here. And it's not just about the technologies. We were talking earlier about trust, brands, there's a real, and scale. All of the components need to come together. So that's how it fits with my role. And I think, the final thought, I guess, I think technology is really critical to shift from this problem solution approach, which is very much reactive and sporadic, to ongoing health maintenance, disease prevention, so much more engaging, proactive healthcare. And I do genuinely believe that much better self-care is going to transform health, and that is going to be accelerated and enabled by technology. We all want to treat, when we get something, but much better than that is preventing the issue in the first place. We all want to extend our healthy lives before disease as long as possible. So I think there's a huge potential for technology with consumer health.
Love it. Absolutely. Disease prevention over treatment is the way of the future. And it's great to hear that technology, personalization, accessibility are all key elements to getting there, and a lot of work to be doing. And I think we're on the right track here, especially in the last year. It's shed a lot of light on the opportunity. So really appreciate the insights, Dave. Best of luck in the future with everything you're doing. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.